All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my Impact Wrestling review. Now, I did not do a Impact Wrestling review last week and whatnot. I probably should have did a Turning Point review because that was actually a really good show. But no, there was no Impact Wrestling review last week, mostly just because of the whole, Wrestle House 2 thing going on, and it was Thanksgiving anyways, but there was really nothing to talk about. Like, the whole 2 hours was Wrestle House, and I wasn't going to waste my time really doing a review on that. I understand why it happened, which was actually kind of a smart idea because who would have really been watching a show, especially on Thanksgiving and whatnot? I had just recorded it. I had watched some of it. It was funny here and there, but at least the Wrestle House thing wasn't, you know, like it was before, which I understood even beforehand during the whole no fans at the time thing, but I felt like it took up a majority of the show, and it was more Wrestle House than the actual Impact Wrestling show. At least I'm glad this was just only a one-time thing, just for a holiday, and we'll just do it in 2 hours. But like I said, it was funny here, it was funny there. Just sometimes the jokes run too long, and they kind of knew that people talked about it and said that it sucked, but they wanted to keep it continuing anyways, though. So Wrestle House, it was what it was last week. Like I said, there was nothing really to talk about last week, so that's why I didn't review the show. But this week was an actual show, which mostly after Turning Point they went on as Matt Cardona came to the ring. Basically talked about Turning Point was one hell of a show, and that he almost beat W Morrissey and whatnot until the ref would get knocked down and everything. And then talked about getting speared by Moose, in which he's not here to complain, but ever since he's been in this company day one, he wants to be the world champion. He called out Moose. Moose came out. Moose basically talked about Cardona, like, Cardona, you've done a lot for this past 18 years in this business, okay? You're known worldwide. You got a podcast, a YouTube show, all these collectible action figures, a large house, wife and everything. Even on the indies, you're the deathmatch king, people are calling you right now. But don't go too high, okay? Because you're never gonna be a top guy in this business, and you dare to challenge me for this title, as he says, because he made an example out of Eddie Edwards at Turning Point, and basically told Cardona, you better think twice, because this will last long as your Intercontinental Championship run. He only have to have like a day after WrestleMania, if I remember. And Moose basically said that Matt Cardona, you're just a Mick Carter, and people ought to call you Mid Cardona, which that was actually pretty funny. Mid Cardona, which even I don't look at Cardona as a main eventer, honestly, but unless he can change something, then maybe I believe it, but I don't see that either. But man, he really was taking it to Cardona, Zack Ryder right here. Cardona dared Moose to say it again, and Moose says, "Okay, I will." Cardona slapped the mic out of his hand. They both brawled for a second. Cardona got the upper hand till W Morrissey came out and took him out. Eddie Edwards then ran in for the save. Then basically in the first part of the show right here. So not a bad segment. Moose heavy shots at Cardona. So obviously Cardona must be next in line for the title and whatnot. But very heavy shots right there. We had a Violent by Design promo. So they had a match later on. Cardona was talking to Scott D'Amore in the back, basically talking about you guys are going to be in a tag team match, but Cardona says, I want a shot at the world title. But Scott said, you got to earn your shot, okay? So you need to prove it tonight in the main event. But as he walked off then, next thing you know, Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering, Tasha Steelz, and Savannah Evans basically showed up then, saying, who's going to be in this whole women's X Division match, but at Hard to Kill. But D'Amore said he will announce the participants next week. But since you guys have some problems right now, it's going to be Rachel Ellering versus Savannah Evans tonight. Next, Matthew Redwalt went against Chris Sabin. Deonna Purrazzo was there. One thing I can say now is that the commentary team was at ringside this time. We usually see the commentary team in the back somewhere, usually in front of a green screen, or it looked like they were sitting somewhere in the building, but they were actually at ringside this time, and Deonna Purrazzo joined them. Basically, not saying she's not giving any answers, but she is still coming after Mickie James to get her title back. A good match between Sabin and Redwalt and Deonna got involved. Mickie James came out then, basically brawling with Deonna as Chris Sabin. I'm getting a cradle shock for the win. So, like I said, good match right there, Sabin. But yeah, at least like I said, the commentary team is actually there this time. Chelsea Green wants to know who's in the X Division match, the women's one, but Scott said you gotta wait. Vidal showed up. Basically, I guess he won a match since because if I thought it was funny, Scott said, "Listen, you can't be in the women's X division match," because I remember what Alicia Edwards showed up saying, "Listen, I better be in the match." But Jay Vidal said, "Listen, I'm ready. I'm in my gear. I want to do something tonight. You got to give me something." And all right, Morris, I'll give you an opportunity, but it's going against Jonah. Vidal was shocked as he said, "Good luck to you." But yeah, Jonah though, formerly known as Bronson Reed. He did show up at Turning Point. He took out Josh Alexander. And like I said, this is his debut match. A really good match. A very good debut. Basically a squash match. You know, basically a big run in Sentai and this tsunami, which I'm sure they can't call it the tsunami. The tsunami splash and whatnot. They're not going to call it that. But he got the win there. Jonah got the microphone in, basically saying, you know, he's the top dog around here. And he says he's going to take over wherever he goes. And as he talked about when he showed up in New Japan at the Battle in the Valley show to confront Moose, he said he deserves to be a world champion and whatnot. And he will come for that. But right now, he's looking at Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander wants to call himself the best wrestler in the world. He's read the internet sheets and all that stuff. But you're going to have to go do the top dog first. So, very good debut for Jonah and whatnot. I guess we now know. Well, he was supposed to debut at Bound for Glory apparently, but that did not happen. I think it was due to travel issues, if I'm not mistaken, but he was supposed to debut there. And like I said, we did see him debut in New Japan about a few weeks ago, so I guess he's in both companies. I heard he made his debut on the Strong Show. I don't know much about it. I need to watch more of that, but, you know, Jonah be on both of these shows. Let's see where he goes here, okay? I'm willing to see what happens. The former Bronson Reed. Next, Trey Miguel was being interviewed about his title defense back at Turning Point. He was talking until Steve Macklin came in. Both guys ended up brawling. You know, security got involved until like Trey like this big dive off the I don't know, somewhere on the security and stuff. They had the what they got coming up? The Throwback Throwdown coming up. I guess it's gonna be on a Saturday at one point, so we'll see what happens with that. Basically, like the Southpaw thing, they did this like a year or two ago on Impact, so we'll see what happens. Like the Southpaw, what WWE did. Next, the most professional wrestler. You know what I mean with the Brian Myers segments. Talk about distance learning. Zicky Dice basically called Brian Myers. Myers said, "How'd you get this number?" He said, "I stole from Matt Cardona's phone." Myers hung up. He thought it was a connection issue, but VSK basically said, "Listen, we're going to make good on this, okay? We're going to beat Finjuice next week." As, you know, Dice said, "How's the scrotum doing?" And then he got hung up on again. Moose was talking to Morris. He's saying, like, we got to stop Matt Cardona tonight so he doesn't get a world title shot. Morris, he said, you know, how long, he said, doesn't see how it's going to benefit him by taking out Matt Cardona. Moose said, listen, if he gets his hand on the title, then you don't get a shot. But Morris said, listen, you've been promising me this title shot for a while now, and you still haven't delivered, okay? But Moose said, I'm a man of my word, and listen, you will get your title shot. It will happen. And all we got to do is just do this job, as Morrissey said, okay. So Morrissey now getting fed up how long he has to deal with this thing with Moose. So obviously it may be a turn at some point. Rachel Ellering went against Savannah Evans. I'm almost surprised they have Savannah Evans lose right here. She's supposed to be some powerhouse monster. She hasn't even been here that long. Like, should she be taking L's to Rachel Ellering already? And, you know, I look at both Rachel Ellering and Jordan Grace. I feel like they haven't done anything since they were teasing the whole breakup of the tag team, which I wish they would have went through with that and turned Jordan Grace heel, because they're not doing nothing. And I forget that digital media belt. I don't even know when that's defended. I think it's like on a Plus show or something online. I have not watched it. It's just some intergender belt and whatnot. I don't know what this belt really does, okay? It's just kind of there with Jordan Grace. So I don't understand what this belt really does. Daniel Dashwood was back, talking to Caleb and Madison Rain. Basically, talking about the inspiration was there and that they're from Australia. Dashwood had a problem with it, so she went up to them. You know, the whole inspiration, the influence crew. Basically, they had a face-off, but the inspiration and Tennille Dashwood started laughing and, you know, saying they've been friends all a long time and stuff, as Madison Rain just looked kind of annoyed. They all ended up walking off, but, yeah, in a way, I feel like Tennille Dashwood should have had the inspiration with her as the influence for a while now. Like, it makes sense for what the group means and whatnot, being, I don't know, Instagram models or something like that, or influencers. So that would actually make sense. But we'll see where this goes. Rich Swann and Willie Mack went against Violent by Design. Funny with Swan, I saw people bring this up. Like, why is he dancing to the ring? Isn't this the guy that tried to kill Rich Swann like a year or two ago when Eric Young came back? Yeah, it was like last year he came back and damn near killed his entire leg and almost put him on the shelf until like Bound for Glory. So, I don't know. Like, this guy was the world champion at one point. I don't know where they're going with Rich Swann. He was the world champion at one point and just kind of like it's become a distant memory and not even went back for the title. But they did go against Violent by Design. Swan and got the win, 450 on to Diener. But next, Eric Young and them end up jumping Swan and Mac right on Heath Slater, and then came for the save. And then as basically they stood tall after that. Johnny Swinger, Hernandez, I guess at the Wad of Cash, and talk about the Wrestle House last week until, Rohit Raju and Gunder Singh showed up, talk about why weren't we invited, and talked about cryptocurrency until Larry D showed up, Lawrence there. It's funny because we haven't seen Lawrence since the Wrestle House segments. Does AC Romero still work there, or did he leave already? Because what happened to that? Weren't they a team at one point, and nothing ever happened? So I didn't know he was even still there. But in the main event, though, we did get Morrissey and Moose versus Eddie Edwards and Cardona. A good tag match to end off the show. Cardona and Edwards end up getting the win. Cardona just end up reversing Moose and rolling him up. After that, when Moose got up, then Morrissey ended up big booting him, basically getting tired of Moose's, I guess, promises and whatnot. So he has turned on him. So we'll see what happens with that whole thing going on. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that going on and whatnot. But other than that, a very good episode of Impact, though. I know I'm late on the review, but it's been a very busy few days and whatnot. But I did get the review in, so yeah, I had to make sure I get that, just get Impact in and whatnot. So other than that, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at HoodedKnight890. Watch out for my War Games review coming up soon, so get ready for that. So see you then. Peace.